We have listened to the readings of this Mass, the first reading and then the Gospel passage. I can't resist the temptation of discussing the two, but I will be very, very synthetic. Remember that yesterday we talked about the wisdom of Solomon and how he used his wisdom to worship God in his fellow human beings, to promote the worship of God by building a magnificent temple, and how the Queen of Sheba glorified God encountering this wise man. That was the guy we discussed yesterday. Now look at the first reading of today's Mass. Solomon is now the complete opposite of what he was yesterday. Yesterday he was worshiping God with his wisdom and all the gifts that God gave him. Today, we are told in the first reading that he is now old, and as a result of the bad influence he got from his wives, from other territories and from other nations who came into his palace, bringing their false gods, Solomon now has deviated from the right path and has now started worshipping false gods. The wisest man is now worshipping idols. Not only is he worshiping, he has erected temples of these false gods in the mountains of Jerusalem. And God is mad. What do we take from this? I think the book of Ecclesiastes will tell us that bad association, bad friends, bad friendship could corrupt a noble soul. And by the way, there is the popular English expression, tell me with whom you go, and I'll tell you what you are, because birds of the same feather, they flock together. That means that the person you move out with, you hang out with, the kind of friends you keep, could influence your conduct, could influence your life, could influence your actions. And worse still, when the persons are bad and evil, the tendency is often more that you might become like the person. Very rare do people become good by following a good person. What happens very often is that people become bad by following a bad person. You may ask yourself this question: how is my prayer life since I started hanging out with this guy? I used to pray more before, but since we became friends, is it not possible I'm no longer praying more? Rather, I drink more because he drinks. I smoke more because he smokes. I talk more. I'm more talkative now than the parrot because that guy, he's always talking, because this person is influencing you. You were worshiping the true God before. Now you have started worshiping false gods and even building temples for him. I wasn't given to gossiping in the past, but since this lady or this man, so that they wouldn't say, Father, why is it that you're talking of woman now, you're saying this lady? So nobody will crucify me. This man, since I became friends with him, I now gossip a lot. Why? Because of association. The kind of friends you keep influence you a lot. It is Solomon's wives that made him abandon the true God. It also happens in our lives sometimes that we be doing the right thing, and then as a result of bad influence from our peers and friends and group we follow, we deviate from the right path. This is a reminder to us to be on our guard. The final point is this: the woman in the gospel passage approached our Lord Jesus Christ to help him deliver the daughter who was possessed by a demon. Our Lord apparently insulted her. Our Lord apparently humiliated her by saying, woman, just get away from here. It is not wise to give the food that is meant for children to the dogs. But the woman said, yes, Lord, even the dogs eat what falls from the table to the ground. And our Lord says, for saying this, go home. Your daughter has been healed. What saved the day for this woman was her humility. She was very humble. And we are told that you stoop to conquer. Let us learn to be humble wherever we may be, wherever we find ourselves. Humility pays.